Hariom Vasudevan ji, Hariom Srinivas ji, Hariom,
Hariom.
Hariom Savitri ji, Hariom Bhama ji,
Hariom.
Hariom, Hariom Arvind ji, Hariom, Hariom Melan ji, Vidya ji, Hariom Dipti ji, Hariom, Hariom ji. We'll just wait for the session to start, just 2 more minutes. If anybody wishes to ask or share anything, you are welcome, or we can just wait for the participants to join. Hariom, Namaste Dr. Poonam ji. Hariom, best wishes for your health.
Hariom, sir.
Hariom Rakhi ji. Hariom ji. Yes, we'll just wait for 1 more minute and then we'll begin our session.
Hariom ji.
Hariom ji. Hariom, Namaste ji. Hariom Dr. Pushpa ji. Hariom Sunita ji.
Hariom ji.
Hariom ji. Hariom Gita ji.
Hariom.
Hariom ji. Hariom. So we'll be starting what is the 11th adhyay today. Alright, I think we can begin with the invocation. Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam Vasudevam Sutam Devam Kamsa Chanura Mardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Hari Om. Yes, please. So we are now entering into what is the 11th adhyay. Can someone recollect what is it that we saw last? Yes, please. Anything.
Krishna was saying he was the best of best.
Okay.
Best
Ji.
torture, the best poet, the best writer, etc.
Is the
He's
best.
also the beginning, middle, and
End.
of creation.
Adi, Madhya and Ananta. And the Anta. Yes, he is Ananta and he is from. He is there in the start, in the middle, and in the end. All right. Yes. Anybody would like to add to what Vasudevanji has shared? Yes, please. Chapter on the Vibhuti Darshana. Yes, please. Anything? Anybody would like to add something? We need to form the link so we can begin our next adhyay. Yes, please.
So Arjuna says to Krishna,
Yeah.
tell me all your manifestations
Ji.
and your forms by names.
Ji. So whom I can meditate upon? That was the question of Arjuna, and he said, now we saw a complete bhakta speaking. Arjuna has got bhakti in Krishna, he has Shraddha, Deva, Jagatpate, he is recognizing he is the father of all. Some transformation in Arjuna has taken place, and Deepti ji wants to add. Yes, please.
Krishna was mentioning about like everything comes from him.
जी.
Even all the details, like even Shiva,
Hmm.
he's the Shiva also.
Rudranam Shankaraschasmi is what he said. Yes.
Yeah, and he also mentioned that he's the origin of everything,
Yeah.
and especially the feminine quality that he was referring to, like
Dhruti,
speech
Meda,
and
Kshama,
memory,
Smriti.
yeah.
Ji, ji.
So everything comes from him, and I mean, and Krishna was also trying to I mean, tell Arjuna that anything beautiful, anything powerful that you see, it all comes from me.
Okay.
So everything in the world is like anything that is there in the world is all from me. Everything, the birth, death, everything is from me.
Ji, ji. So the beginning, the middle, the end, whatever is brilliant. Because Krishna went on describing his several manifestations. So many vibhutis he started describing. He said, I am among the rivers, I am Ganga, I am the Meru among the mountains, I am Skanda among the devas of the warlords, I am Rama among the champion warriors. So he goes on continuously and finally he just ends it. He ends it with a statement. He says, Arjuna, why do you need? Why do you need all this classification in detail? Just understand I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere, and the entire universe is considered to be just a fraction of my existence. And he says, I cannot explain all to you, I will explain only what is important. But at the end, he says, why do you need to know? Is it logical? And is Arjuna's question of wanting to know also, is that also logical? Because both these are very interesting. Krishna's statement as well as Arjuna's question. Arjuna's question was, I want to know in detail how I can. So what is that going to benefit? How does one benefit from knowing? He's just asking, tell me the names. Yes, please, anybody.
Arjuna's question is also logical because like sometimes a student wants to know a little things in detail for his or her understanding, and
It gives a little bit of
if
confidence, is it not? If we recognize
confidence,
when we
yes,
see
yes.
Krishna's representative is here, his Vibhuti can be seen here, his Vibhuti can be there. Because through the Vibhuti, what do we realize? We realize the presence of the divine only. So, yes, Deepti please go on.
And if I think from Krishna when he's saying this, maybe just like sometimes we read a book and we understand, if we just get to know the gist of the book, we understand the whole book. So sometimes we need not read the entire book also. The
The,
summary itself gives us the feel, okay, we
so,
are done with it, and sometimes don't read a book like that.
the essence
So I
is
mean, there are two
sufficient.
perspectives.
Yes,
There are
and
two
probably
perspectives.
what Arjuna is looking as is the outer form. He is more interested in the outer aspect. Krishna is telling him, go into the essence. You will recognize that. Yes, please. Somebody wants to add. Savitri yes, please.
Now, Arjuna's question is very curious.
Ji, yes, yes, he's curious. Ji. So, what do you think of it? The answer of Krishna. He said, "I'm there, here, everywhere. What is the need to know?" Is Arjuna's curiosity going to be over? I guess we all know what is coming in store. Arjuna's next question is just going to come. So let us now go to the illustration and quickly go into the next adhyay. Please look at this illustration. Let us see how it can um, connect with this adhyay. It is connected. We will see later on how the connection is there. But please tell me. Yes, please. Can you tell me?
This boy is in the meditation mood. He looks at peace because his face is not having any stress of it,
Okay.
and there is a heart sign above it and the world. So that means he's feeling love for the entire world. He
Okay.
doesn't have any hatred or desire, and he's like content. He looks content, and I mean, in his own world, he's content, and he's like trying to connect with himself.
Okay.
That's what I can.
Okay. Yes, Deepti ji. All right. Anybody would like to add what Deepti ji has said? As a child that's meditating, there is love for the world, no hatred and desire. Probably if we remove hatred and desire from our hearts, do you think we will have, like conversely, if we remove hatred and desire from our hearts, will we have a universal compassion and universal love? Or will be in a state of what we can say nidra, like samadhi sthiti, as Adi Shankaracharya said? Will we also be in that state of peace at all times if we can remove these two?
We will be at peace at all times. Because I remember I heard a statement somewhere which says that if two people stop gossiping, then
Yeah.
there'll be nothing to talk.
Okay.
There'll be like very few things to talk, and then you will be at peace with yourself, because 90% of things are about random things you're talking. Only 10% are the second concrete thing that we're talking.
They don't go ahead, is it not? Conversations which go
Yeah,
in
the conversation
circles.
doesn't go ahead.
Yes, yes, yes. The mother of Sri Aurobindo Ashram also would forbid the sadhaks from engaging in gossiping because it's more of a waste of energy and scattering of the consciousness, which can be used for a greater work. But all right, let us see. If you look at the tagline below it, it says ideal students are free of desire and hatred and perform their works as instruments of the divine. So probably for functioning as an instrument of divine, maybe this is the way we have to be, because we've understood our aim to be loka sangraha, as Krishna has told. Our aim in life, which is what we can say, which we can have in all our actions to motivate us, is loka sangraha, betterment of the world, and becoming an instrument of the divine. Because why not? If we've heard about the vibhutis, what if we can become the vibhuti? It's like working for an excellent organization, and when it is a divine organization. So basically, the first requirement is probably shedding these two emotions out of ourselves, hatred and desire. When these are there, the divine is not. So that is one thing. Let us now complete our illustration, and let's get back into the adhyay. Arjuna is going to speak. Now again, we will feel like clapping to Arjuna because transformation is so much. He is in his ultimate best. He wants something. We also know what he wants. He wants the Vishwarupa Darshana. The interesting part is how he is going to ask it. Let us see. Arjuna Uvacha Madanugrahaya Paramam Guhyam Adhyatma Sangitam Yatvayoktam Vachastena Mohoyam Vigato Mama. Arjuna said, the secret of spiritual secrets thou hast unveiled, the occult knowledge. The occult and highest knowledge has been revealed by the compassion that thou hast upon me showered. My delusion is lifted, and I am by thy grace empowered. So he says the entire delusion which he was carrying, that depression, he says suddenly now it doesn't look anything. He says he says it is your karuna, it is your grace, your blessing. By your blessing, Krishna, that feeling inside of me, that emptiness, that hollowness has now disappeared, he says. And you have revealed big secrets to me. Highest knowledge has been revealed. Now, last adhyay, was there any big secret revealed in Vibhuti Darshana? From what we understood. Raja Vidya or Sankhya or Karma Yoga, all this was there in last adhyay? The direction, Prayana Kala, after Prayana Kala, all, was it there in the last adhyay or was it way before that? Or it last adhyay was, yes please, yes Vasudevanji.
We had it in last year.
It was not there in the last adhyay, is it not?
Where? Which one? He says about time a little bit.
He talks about time. Alright, so I am Kala. So probably he is relating to that. Immediately, what I have a feeling is maybe he is also connecting with what he has heard later on. Let us see, let us go ahead as we go to the next shloka. भवाप्ययौ हि भूतानां श्रुतौ विस्तरशो मया त्वत्तः कमलपत्राक्ष महात्म्यमपि चाव्ययम्. I have heard about all the existences from their birth and also in their detail, the progression to and after death. O lotus-eyed one, I have listened of the soul and its imperishable, all-pervading greatness as a whole. He says, I have seen the origin, I have understood, he says, I have understood from you about all the different existences from their birth, and also I have heard the detail of their journey to death and after death also. Now that we saw in 8th Adhyay. So this was definitely the entire journey of the yogis, how they fare, all these factors were told before in detail. What we see right now is probably Arjuna is now connecting all the dots. They're all there inside of him, and now he's just connecting all the dots. Like last Adhyay, suddenly he felt inspired to say that, yes, now I understand why Narada praises you, why Vyasa talks so highly of you, why all Asita and Devala Rishis have talked. Now I know why they say, because you are the Deva. So Devasura Namaskrutam, it is said that Supreme Divine, Devas also worship, the Asuras also worship the Supreme Divine, and Krishna is now recognized as that divine by Arjuna. And he says, I have understood all. He says, oh lotus eyed one. He's feeling love for Krishna, and he's asking him, please, I have heard everything, he says. And he goes on, Evam etad yathatha Tvamatmanam parameshvara drushtamichhami te rupam aishwaram purushottama. Now he says, why is he doing all of this? He says, drushtamichhami. I wish to see, he says, and he calls Krishna Parameshwara. Oh Parameshwar, I want to see. This is the thirst only a bhakta can understand. It is why they say that Darshando Ghanshamnath Mori Akhiya Pyasi Re. My eyes are thirsting for a darshana. That is the state of a bhakta. He wants a darshana badly. How Ramakrishna Paramahans was crying so much like a small boy. People thought he was not sane or something is wrong with him. But he was pining for that darshana. That moment has come for Arjuna, and he feels, now I need this thirst will go only with the darshana. And he's asking, he says, O Lord, as thou hast said about thy divinity, so art thou. Tattvamasi, Mahavakya of Vedanta. You are that. As you are saying Krishna, I understand that. There is no doubt, is what he says. You are that. I do understand with clarity. He says, I have full clarity about that. But, oh greatest Supreme, I desire to see thy physical self and form. Please display to me. He says, desire to see that physical self. I desire to see that form. Please show me that form, is what he is asking. Now, my question is, when we go to even watch 3D movies, can we see the movies with our naked eyes? What do we do there?
Glasses, special
We
3D glasses.
we need special 3D glasses, is it not? Because otherwise it looks, anybody has tried watching without 3D glasses, they'll get a headache and nothing, they cannot enjoy also because it is a little overwhelming. Well, this is something Arjuna is asking. Arjuna is asking to see what? He is asking to see that which is even beyond the infrared and ultraviolet, that which is beyond the infrasonic and ultrasonic, beyond the limitation of his sensory inputs also. Do you think Arjuna can be or is capable of seeing it just like that? Or he will need something, some kind of either get a 3D glass or some kind of surgery, and something needs to be done to improve him or give him that. Don't you think it's not easy to, or is it possible to see with naked eye, the creator of all the suns in the world? Can he see that just like that?
He has to see with the full purity. I mean, the way he's devoted right now.
But the physical eyes, okay, fine. Diptiji says Shraddha may allow suprasensory powers in the eye is what Diptiji is feeling, alright, or perception. Anybody else would like to add something? What do you think? Are you in agreement? Yes? Or let us then probably go to the next shloka only and see what is it that Arjuna is going to ask, because he says this. He says, I wish to see. He is clear about it. Krishna, I want the darshan, and this is the brilliant advantage we should take when Krishna is there. If Krishna is there, we must learn to be Arjuna only, because Arjuna is taking the best. This is the greatest opportunity of life, and he says, Krishna, I want that darshana. There is this love also in it, and he's accepting, hey Parameshwar, please grant that darshan. He goes on, मन्यसे यदि तच्छक्यं मया दृष्टुमिते प्रभो योगेश्वर ततो मे त्वं दर्शयात्मानं अव्ययम्. If it is thy will, O Supreme God, I shall be able to see thee, my Lord, for it is only by thy divine grace that your almighty form I can witness or face. He says, Krishna, you are Deva. For you it's possible, it's not for me. So you can do some jugad. You will make it possible for me to see. I know if you can will, if your wish is there, it is possible, because all is possible when the God touches there. That is what Sri Aurobindo's statement is. Yes, please. So Vasudevanji wants to add something.
But he's standing in front of him. Why does it?
Why does he
Why
need?
do you think there's a different form?
Why does he need this? That's a good question, Vasudevanji. But I think everybody has a preconceived notion. God should be like this. According to him, he wants to see there. This Krishna is there, but I want to see that form. This Krishna is only this many 5 foot, how many inches, I don't know. But this Krishna is not that Krishna in my mind. I want to see that Krishna who is the master of world. There will be a beautiful form, or probably these culprits are Narada only. Narada and Vyasa, they must have told something about the form of the divine. No, 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 you do not know the supreme form of the divine is like this. Somewhere inside the curiosity. It is the joy of meeting the creator, and then he wants to see how Krishna's form will also change. Probably a curiosity inside. But he wants and he is thirsty, but he also acknowledges that he is not capable. The humility is here. He says, not by my senses, not by my limitations, but if you wish, if the divine will is there, it can happen. I can be that blessed one if your will is there, he says to Krishna. Now, generally, when children behave in such a nice manner, parents sometimes have no option but to comply, and there is nothing, there's purity perfect in Arjuna. Now, we cannot even, have question anything here, and Krishna very probably joyfully complies only. He says this. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha. Sometimes parents also enjoy giving the chocolates to their children, when they do not want them to get into that habit, because the children are in such a nice way and they want to cultivate that also in the child. So this bhakti is very much welcome, also a welcome change in Arjuna, the Arjuna who was once in great depression, who had lost meaning of life, reason, direction, purpose, everything was missing, everything was dark. Suddenly this Arjuna is now seeking the beautiful light, that supreme light he is seeking. That transformation is a welcome change, at least for all of us to see. Let us see now what Krishna says. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Pashyame Partha Rupani Shatashotha Sahasrashah Nana Vedhani Divyani Nana Vrunat Krutini Cha. Shri Krishna then spoke, O Arjuna, behold, for I shall display to you my 100,000 forms will stand in your view, all divine, in their multitudinous shapes, hues, and kind, in all their dimensions that are otherwise beyond the mind. So again, Krishna is saying this is beyond the mind. Mind is the Raja of the Indriyas. We have seen Indriyanam Paranyahur, Indriyebhya Param Manaha, Manasastu Para Buddhi, and higher than Buddhi is that Saha. So he says, I'll show you all these forms, he says. 100,000 forms will stand, he says, in your view. All are divine, all are in different hues, different shapes, in different ways, and their dimensions also are beyond what the mind understands. He goes on, Pashyadityan, Vasun Rudran, Ashvinau Marutastatha, Bahunya Drushtapurvani, Pashyascharyani Bharata, Pashyascharyani Bharata. O Bharat, witness, O light, son of light, witness is what he's saying, witness all of these. Observe, O Arjuna, the many forms of the Adityas, the Vasus, the Ashwini twins, the Maruts, and the Rudras. None before on earth have thus witnessed. None before on earth have ever thus witnessed these supramortal wonders. None has experienced. Krishna says, no one has experienced these. And he says, see all of these. These are all the devas of the Rigveda. Ashwini Kumars, Maruts, all the Vasus are there, Aditya is there, all of them, all the Rudras. How is Rudra described? And if anybody, the Rudram or Chamakam, when they see that, they recognize Rudra as grantor of everything, but also Uchchair Ghoshaya Krandayate Rudra Nam. It's like Rudra is something who screams loudly. That's the force of absolute force. And Krishna is saying, see all of them. They are going to stand. Your eyes are going to see. Beyond logic, what is beyond logic? He goes on. Ihaikastham jagat kritsnam Pashyadya sacharacharam mama dehe gudakesha yachanyat drustamechhasi. Witness today, O Arjuna, the universe complete, with all the mobile and immobile forms replete. Observe them to be united, but yet a part of me, and also glimpse everything else that you wish to see. He says, observe, he says, observe whatever you wish. He says, see all these forms. And you see also the great Vishwa. I think Krishna had shown the entire Vishwa inside of his mouth to his mother when he was a Bal Krishna. That time that Leela was also beautiful. Well, now Arjuna is getting a chance. Probably this time Krishna is not going to erase the memory also. He is going to give that to Arjuna, and he says, Arjuna, see all that you wish to see. They are all united and a part of me. It is said, राम नाम की लूट है, लूट सको तो लूट, अंत काल पछताएगा जब प्राण जाएगा छूट. Means when the time is there, take it. This Ram Naam ki loot hai. Do the japa of Ram and continuously get all that you want with that japa. Afterwards, there is no time. What will you do? The time is very fast moving. So like that, Krishna is saying, enjoy, see all that you wish. Whatever you wish, you will see. And Arjuna is very clear on what he wants to see. He wants to see the entire Vishwarupa Darshan. What is this divine who has created the universe? He is very clear on it. Then he goes on now. He says, Natu mam shakyase drushtum anenaina swachakshusha divyam dadami te chakshuhu pashyame yogam aishwaram. So Krishna says, I will give you the eye to see. This is so beautiful where Krishna says, I will provide it to you. Earlier also we have seen, Dadami buddhi yogam tam. I will give you that buddhi also. Shraddha is there. Krishna does everything else for us. We don't have to worry about it also. We have seen how unknown faculties can be born in individuals. Well, here, the ability to see also, he says, I will grant you that eye. By the mortal eye, you cannot just see and bear the vision that will soon be. There is an inner eye which I shall now awaken within you, so that a vision of my divine yoga you can behold and view. He says, I'll open that inner eye now. That inner eye is there, he says, which will allow you to see. It's not the physical eye. That is why people who don't have eyesight also have got darshanas. How is it that they have got darshanas when they don't have eyesight? Well, eyesight is just a sense. It is an outer aspect. It is like a building has so many doors. One door is closed, so what? The other door works. The other door you can enter in through another door. It is like that. Many times some people don't have very good senses. A particular sense is not working. The other compensates so much. But these are not so important. These are just the indriyas. Indriyas have limitations. There is something else which will allow you to see, he says, and that is the inner eye. Now my question is, he says, I give you that inner eye and I'll awaken that eye inside of you. My question is Arjuna an alien, that he has got some extra special eye compared to all other human beings? Or is this an eye which is present inside all of us?
मन की दृष्टि.
Yes, is that eye in all of us, or it is just something in Arjuna only?
It's all in all of us.
It's in all of
We
us.
just need to realize.
We need to just realize that. And why Krishna says, Yaha pashyati saha pashyati, is we need to see from that inner eye. Sometimes life flashes in front of our eyes and we don't realize what's happening, and suddenly in one moment, the mother calls such moments the moments where the inner Chaitya Purush or the psychic being comes to the front. Suddenly you get a realization, you get a clear understanding. So that is that you are not seeing with your outer eye. You've seen something from the inside, and that gives you a great understanding. Krishna says, I'll now awaken it. Sometimes it is the divine wish. It works and then it makes it happen. Actually, I think Swami Vivekananda's guru had to do the opposite way. He had to close that eye for Swami Vivekananda. Otherwise, he would have realized he is one of the Saptarishis and he would have just not done all the great karmas which were waiting for him. Because there is a story in which he actually hits his head once. And because one side all realizations start coming and he wants to stop it because it is not required. But now Krishna has realized, now Arjuna is ready. He has received whatever ground, what was required to understand it. And in that way, we also have understood because of Arjuna. We have also got all these high principles. Interestingly, as we saw, Arjuna is connecting the dots now. What he heard before, what he was not agreeing. Now he says, I understand the journey of the soul. I understand the moment. I understand the divine. It's not that Krishna just now spoke about it. And it also shows that we were unnecessarily rating Arjuna. Arjuna was listening to all, though he was disagreeing. These were all inside. He just wanted to, probably piece together the puzzle. Now it's clear, and now he just wants nothing else. He's got his delusion gone already, is what he said. If Krishna tells him to fight, he might as well fight. But again, Krishna does not order here, also, we see. He just listens, he complies. And he's now saying, I'll open that inner eye. Here, Sanjay is now celebrating. Sanjay is celebrating to Dhritarashtra, who was now, till now, we didn't even think of his existence. Well, he is also listening to the Gita from Sanjay. And now Sanjay says this in the palace. Sanjay Uvacha, Evamuktva tato rajan Mahayogeshwaro Harihi Darshayamasa Parthaya Paramam Rupamaishwaram. Sanjay spoke. With these words, O king, the Lord of Yoga, Krishna, blessed Arjuna with his supreme form's revelation, the Darshana, the destroyer of all sins, the Godhead divine, displayed to him all his infinite forms, resplendent and fine. Krishna says, with these words, O king, O Rajan, the Yogeshwara Krishna, he blessed Arjuna and gave him the darshana. He destroyer of sins, just displayed all the forms. And now let us continue. Aneka Vaktranayam, Aneka Adbhuta Darshanam, Aneka Divya Bharanam, Divya Neko Tayudham. The Godhead with the infinite eyes and faces, armed with weapons and warheads divine, at different places, displayed his innumerable forms, wondrous and dazzling, with countless divine jewels and ornaments gleaming. So this supreme vision was visible, infinite eyes, infinite faces, armed with weapons. There are weapons which are as powerful as nuclear weapons, all at different places, and innumerable forms were visible. They were all wondrous, they were all dazzling and brilliant, and there were countless divine jewels which will make even Kohinoor look like nothing. These brilliant jewels were all gleaming and dazzling. It was a brilliant sight. My simple question is, if you were in Arjuna's place and Krishna grants you that darshana, what would your reaction be? Your feeling, if Krishna says, I am granting you that darshana, what is your feeling there?
In awe,
In awe. Deepti says in awe. Anybody feels the same?
emotional and in awe.
Emotional and in awe. All right. Happy or sad or angry or afraid or yes, Srinivasji.
Complete surrender.
Okay, full Sharana, full surrender. How would you describe the emotion, Srinivasji, that time? Would there be anger? Would there be happiness? Would there be sorrow or fear? Or yes, ji?
Of course, of happiness.
Happiness, no
Sad-
fear, no fear. Ji, ji. All right, all right. Happiness, not any other emotion. Just feeling probably gratitude for this opportunity to witness it. All right, Srinivasji. Yes, please. Let us continue this. Probably, I think almost all of us will have the same feeling, full of awe, full of probably God knows Arjuna is also going through the same experience as he watches this, because this is a very rare opportunity that he has got. Divya Malyam Baradharam Divya Gandhanulepanam Sarvashcharyam Devam Anantam Vishwato Mukham, garlanded with heavenly adornments and celestial scents and fragrant anointment. It's like all the attar smells start coming, all the beautiful, purest fragrances. Champa is there, there is this chandan, or God knows, so many. One person described gardenia smell, which that person had got, and they felt this moment in their life. So these are all different. Many times in these extrasensory moments, also we get that experience of some beautiful fragrance. And Arjuna was not just getting visually the ability to see things; he was also smelling different beautiful fragrances, garlanded with heavenly adornments and celestial scents and fragrant anointments. A surreal being stood before him with infinite mouths replete, and a splendorous brilliance embellished the Godhead complete. So brilliant light was emanating from this Krishna who was in front of him, his Sakha, his Yadava, his Mitra, his friend, his elder, whom he also considered his teacher, now sudden transformation has taken place and he is seeing brilliant light flooding out from him, brilliant fragrances coming. And this very strange or awesome being is standing in front of him and he is unable to probably grasp it. Divi Surya Sahasrasya Bhaved Yoga यदि भाहा सदृशी सा स्यात् भासस्तस्य महात्मनः. As if 1,000 suns had together emerged. So one sun we find it difficult. In the morning we can do what they say tratak or concentration on the Bala Surya, which is red. But not after it becomes yellow, it becomes too much for our eyes. So here it's not one sun, it is like as if 1,000 suns had together emerged and their brilliance had coalesced and merged. So was the divine's glorious refulgence. So overwhelming was the heavenly magnificence. It was brilliant, is what Krishna is saying. And all these suns seem to have just become one. That was the brilliance, he says. Tatraikastham jagatkritsnam pravibhakta munekhada apashyad deva devasya sharire pandavastata. And Arjuna was struck in awe, as in the very mortal envelope of Krishna he saw the vision of the God of gods supreme, the mighty creator of existence's every realm. So Krishna says Arjuna was struck with awe. In the very physical form of Krishna, he saw, what did he see? He saw the God of gods, the supreme Parameshwar is there emanating from this form of Krishna. He goes on, Tataha sa vismaya vishto rushta roma dhananjayaha pranamya shirasa devam kritanjalira bhashata. What happens when people do full sashtang namaskar? That is exactly what Arjuna is feeling, looking and watching this. Why do people go into the temples and do a full prostration? It is a physical act of surrender. They recognize the divinity and they consciously try to connect with the divinity and they feel that is the only way I can, this is the lowest I can bow. When I do a sashtang namaskar, that is the maximum I can bow and offer myself in surrender to the divine. In the act of physical act also. And Arjuna, we see, seeing the Vishwarupa, most magnificent and beautiful, and also inconceivably terrible and powerful. So, for a powerful warrior like Arjuna, also it was too powerful. Arjuna's name is Parantapa, harasser of enemies. He was a brilliant warrior, physically also very strong and mighty. But in front, he was what we can say one of the most mightiest of men. But even for him, this was far too much that he could not, he bear it also. Trembling at the hair-raising and surreal vision, Arjuna prostrated, offering his full bodily submission. A full body submission is done by him. And now Arjuna speaks. We will see Arjuna's emotions. I think nobody has described fear so far in their emotions. Joy, gratitude, bliss is there. Let us see. Arjuna Uvacha Pashyami Devanstava Deva Dehe Sarvanstatha Bhuta Vishesha Sanghan Brahmanamisham Kamalasanastha Mrishinsha Sarvanuragansha Devyan. Arjuna then spoke, all the gods and divine beings I now see, emanating and expanding from within thee. From Krishna is saying all the devas emerge from him. Seated in the cosmic lotus, Brahma, he is the epitome of grace. I also see the mystic sages and those of the divine serpent race. So Krishna says, I see all the devas, all the divine representatives also emanating from you, Krishna. And then he says, I see Brahma also, and look at Brahma. See how graceful he is. He is seated in his cosmic lotus. I am also seeing the great mystic sages. The Sapta Rishis are also visible. The divine serpent race, the Naga races also. All of them, he says, he can see. Aneka bahu daravaktra netram pashyami tvam sarvato nantarupam nantam cha namadhyam na punastavadim pashyami vishveshwara vishwarupa nantam namadhyam. He is not able to see the beginning, he is not able to see the end. Na punastavadim. Where does it start? Where is this? Because what is happening right now, this is not a static darshana, it is a very dynamic one. It is moving, it is changing continuously. From Krishna is now suddenly, Arjuna is actually, though he has got the eye, his processor is the same, is it not? The inner eye is opened, but what is going to process is human only. And now it is becoming far too overwhelming for him. Suddenly, so many devas, all of them, one darshana, no, these are thousands of darshanas taking place. He is first excited looking at Brahma, so peaceful, so graceful. Look at it inside of a lotus. I mean, the very concept itself is very strange and surreal. And he says, look how graceful he is. And suddenly, like a child seeing elsewhere, he says, oh, look there. There the Naga races are standing. There the Rishis are there, the Sapta Rishis. All of them. Then he says, I see countless arms, stomachs, heads, and eyes. I can see all your infinite form, vaster than the skies. He says, my eyes are also now showing me things I have never seen. I can see a completely different world now, and I'm able to see your full form, and your form is vaster than the skies, and my eyes can see it. That's the great joy he's experiencing right now. Neither a beginning nor end to it can I conform. Oh, I behold once more the Lord of the universe's universal form. He wants to freeze this moment because he's understanding something of this divinity, and it is beautifully overwhelming. He goes on. Kiritinam gadinam chakrinam cha tejo rashim sarvato deeptamantam pashyami tvam durniriksham samantad deepta nalarkat ditimaprameyam. He says, with thy crowns, maces, and discs of destruction, I witness thy opulence that pervades in every direction. So there's not one. Chakradhara is having so many chakras now. So many destructive chakras. One chakra can destroy a universe. He's saying so many of them. It's like so many nuclear weapons are all there around him only. With thy crowns, maces, and discs of destruction, I witness thy opulence that pervades in every direction. The overwhelming iridescent luminance, oh so bright, thou art like a brilliant, blazing mass of fire and light. He says, you are like a mass of fire and light. Now my question is, what is this iridescence? This phenomenon of iridescence, anybody? We've heard it in physics somewhere. Something we can recollect about it. What is it? Anything. We're not looking into the exact definition of it. What do you think is that? Anybody? Yes, some sort of, it is like glowing, or anybody is aware of it? Alright, so let's go on. Anyway, so iridescent is something like colors also change as they are emanating. That object which is emanating the color is not emanating one color. Like that, Krishna's Vishwarupa is also iridescent. He's seeing different shades, different, as if different photo filters are on at the same time. So many colors are emanating, and this form is changing, and it's too overwhelming. There's a brilliance, there is also a luminance there is also this iridescence taking place. All of it. And he says, you are like a blazing mass of fire and light. Just fire and light is what he's able to see. Now comes the interesting aspect, because if you remember in the first Adhyay, Arjuna was talking that he is the Rakshak of Sanatan Dharma. For Sanatan Dharma, he has to run away from battle, is what he had told to Krishna. And he told how Shashwat Dharma is going to get destroyed, how there will be Varna Sankara, there will be intermingling of caste, there will be destruction of societies, there will be tragedies, all the pitas will get destroyed, and it was his responsibility. And so he was trying to justify in the name of protection of the good in the world that I have to escape from this battle. Now the same Arjuna comes and says something absolutely different. He says, Tvam aksharam paramam veditavyam tvamasya vishwasya param nidhanam tvam avyayah shashvata dharma gopta sanatanastvam purusho matome. So he says, the highest immaculate truth that by man can be known, the foundation upon which the universe has grown, the indestructible guardian of righteousness eternal. I believe thou art the one, celestial and supernal. You are the one. You are the Shashwat one. You are the Sanatan one. Now, when that is probably one of the reasons our Sanatan Dharma is Sanatan. Yes, it is because it has stood the test of time, and all the time it has been there from the beginning, despite so many invasions, so many attempts to douse that Sanatan Dharma's flame. Nobody has been successful in dousing it. It has only grown. There may have been times when it was not so bright, but now it's again bright, but it has always been growing. Why Arjuna has realized now? Because the guardian is Sanatan himself, and he says, you are the guardian, you are the Shashwat one. The onus is on you, I have the job of instrument only. This is something Arjuna is also recognizing. He says, no, it is you are there. I can see, he says. Anadi madhyantam ananta viryam ananta bahum shashi surya netram pashyami tvam deepta hutasha vaktram swatejasa vishwamidam tapantam. Krishna says, thou hast neither beginning nor middle. Arjuna says, thou hast neither beginning nor middle nor end. The universe burns with the heat that thy fires send. Thy arms infinite, and thy eyes are the sun and the moon, and thy face appears to me like a blazing fiery cocoon. So Krishna says, Arjuna says, your face is like a cocoon of fire, your eyes are the sun and the moon, and your heat. It is your. I can see that the heat which is there in the sun is also derived from you, from this form. I am able to perceive it. He's probably also feeling that warmth, and he's just recognizing. Probably he's also watching live the energy transfers taking place in front of him. The entire world is receiving it from him, is what he's saying. He goes on. Next shloka. द्यावा पृथिव्यो हृदमन्तरं हि व्याप्तं त्वयैकेन दिशश्च सर्वाः दृष्ट्वाद्भुतं रूपमुग्रं तवेदं लोकत्रयं प्रव्यथितं महात्मन्. The heavens, the earth, and all of space are but extensions of thy divine grace. By a vision of thy fairy form, only fear reigns. Amongst the skies, the earth, and the nether planes, he says, your form is fearsome. It strikes fear everywhere, in all the three loka, is what he's saying. In the heaven also, in the earth also, in the nether regions also. And all these extensions are also extensions of you only, is what he's saying. He goes on next. Amihi tvam surasangha vishanti kechit bhitaha pranjalayo grananti स्वस्तीत्युक्त्वा महर्षिसिद्धसङ्गाः स्तुवन्ति त्वां स्तुतिभिः पुष्कलाभिः. The groups of demigods are all entering thee, both adoring and afraid. I see. He says, I am seeing the demigods also. They are all entering into your consciousness. They are just merging into you only. They are loving you also, and they are also afraid at the same time, is what he's saying. But the Siddha Sanghas, the liberated beings and sages, thy prayers sing hymns for the prosperity of every living thing. But the Siddha Sanghas, the liberated sages, he sees no fear in them. They are singing stutis only of the divine and for the betterment of all living beings. Because what do the Siddha Sanghas want? Nothing. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. That's all is what the aspiration, betterment of the universe. Swastina Indro Vruddhasha, Swastina Pusha Vishwaveda, Swastina Taksho Arishta Nemihi, Swastino Bruhaspati Dadatu. They give that swasti feeling of good swastha. May everybody be healthy, may everybody be strong. That is exactly what the Siddha Sanghas pray. And they are seeing this Vishwarupa and they are not feeling any fear at all. My question is, why do you think it is not, these Siddha Sanghas are not having fear, but otherwise the fear is there? What is so special about this? And second, what do you think? Are you if you are as observer, do you think this is a fearsome moment or is a celebratory moment? Because these yogis are all blissful watching that form. Yes, please. Anybody? So we can quickly move to the next shloka.
It can be, see, for yogis, I mean, they have gone to a particular state, but for a normal person,
Okay.
it is like very much overwhelming. So it is a joyful moment also, but there could be a fear that
Okay.
how would I absorb this for a longer duration? Like
Okay. So,
this is so much. This is like
Ji.
beyond what I can imagine. So there's a fear of, because I would want to retain it, but whether
Okay.
I'll be able to retain it
Grasp it or not. Ji,
grasp
ji,
it
ji.
or not.
Yes, yes. But now if we see, there was earlier was only joy in watching Brahma and everything, but now slight element of fear is also present along with joy, is it not, Deepti ji, if we look at it? So let us see what is Krishna up to and let us see what happens next. Krishna goes on, Arjuna goes on, 22nd shloka. Rudra Aditya Vasavo Yecha Sadhya Vishveshvinau Marutash Choshma Pascha Gandharva Yaksha Surasiddha Sangha Vikshante Tvam Vismitaschaiva Sarve. So all of them, they are having Ashcharya only. They are watching with Ashcharya. He says the Rudras, the Adityas, the Vasus, the Sadhyas, the Ashwini Kumars, Vishwas, Maruts, and Ushmapas, all of them, how they call Vishvedevas in the Rigveda, all of them, Indra, Agni, Varuna, Vayu, Mitra, Bhaga, Ila, Saraswati, all probably he is seeing all of them together. But the Gandharvas are also present, the Yakshas are also present, and the Asuras are also present, and the perfect beings who are excellent, all of them. They are all transfixed, as if they are now stuck. Their feet are stuck, and they are just. Their eyes are also reflecting. It's like if you see, Rudra is that which moves like the wind with force. It's like a tornado or some kind of storm. But now that storm has also forgot to spin watching the Vishwaroopam. Suddenly, all of them are paused and just looking. And there's like suddenly the moments have stopped, time has stopped moving because Kala Purusha is now himself standing in front of everybody. And all of them, Arjuna is able to see them. रूपम महत्ते बहुवक्त्र नेत्रम महाबाहो बहुबाहु रूपादम बहुदूरम बहुदंष्ट्राकरालम दृष्ट्वा लोक बहुधरम बहुधरम बहुदंष्ट्राकरालम दृष्ट्वा लोकाः प्रव्यथितास्तथाहम. Oh magnificent Lord, with many faces and eyes limitless, with strong arms, bellies and feet, each countless, myself, all the nations and the world only finds thy form terrible, with infinite teeth. Thou striketh a fear unbearable. Now Arjuna's happiness is now being replaced by fear. And he says, this law, oh Lord, so many faces are there, so many strong bellies, arms, feet, all are countless. Anybody has heard of the Purusha Sukta? Has anybody heard of Purusha Sukta, or anybody knows the first line of the Purusha Sukta? Yes?
सहस्रशीर्षा पुरुषः सहस्राक्षः सहस्रपात् स भूमिं विश्वतो
Vishwato
रूपा
Atya
अत्यतिष्ठत्
Tashtat Rishangulam. Oh, is it not? Sahasra Shirsha Purusha Sahasrakshas Sahasrapad. So many Sahasra eyes, Sahasra feet. That is the description of the Purusha in the Vedas, the Supreme Purusha. And Arjuna is giving a very same description. Arjuna need not study the Purusha Sukta right now. He can see the Purusha himself in front of him, and he is just describing. It is sounding exactly like the Purusha Sukta of the Veda. He says this, he says, oh magnificent Lord, eyes are, you're having limitless faces, limitless eyes, limitless bellies, limitless feet, limitless strong arms. I think it's just beyond understanding or imagination also. It is very difficult to visualize, but definitely worth, because that we can try it as long as Arjuna is giving his commentary. We can hear from him and try to grasp something. He says, myself, all the nations and the world find thy form terrible. With thy infinite teeth, thou striketh a fear unbearable. He says, you have infinite teeth also. Now they are looking scary. They are actually spreading fear everywhere. This is called the Ugra Rupa, which is visible. The form which strikes a fear, that is the Rupa which is now becoming more and more prominent. Nabhas Prusham Deeptam Aneka Varnam व्यात्ताननं दीप्तविशालनेत्रं दृष्ट्वा हितां प्रव्यथितान्तरात्मा धृतिं न विन्दामि शमं च विष्णु. This shamam cha Vishnu is starting now inside of him. Please forgive me, please forgive me. Now, what sin Arjuna has suddenly performed which he has become conscious of? But this is the fear which has now struck his heart. Whether it is required or not is a different question. But now Arjuna is feeling it. He says, blazing thy heavens is thy burning manifestation. Multi hued, open mouthed, with eyes in every dimension. Thy vision I am unable to grasp with joy or peace, for the panic within me does not seem to cease. He says there is this panic inside of me. It is just increasing. I cannot. It is not stopping. I'm not finding ananda. I'm not finding joy, or I'm not finding peace watching this. It is a crazy form, is what he's saying. Now he's wondering, why did I ask this? What have I done? Because now in front of him, it's now everything is out of his control of understanding as well. Danshtra karalani chate mukhani drishtvaiva kala nalasannibhani disho na jane na labhe cha sharma prasida devesh jagan nivas. Again he's saying, please forgive me, have compassion. This Ugra Rupa's slight moment can also end my life, is what he feels. He's afraid and he is not hesitating to admit his fear in front of Vishwarupa. He is not even seeing Krishna now, he is seeing only the Vishwarupa. And he is asking, he says, I witness thy mouths with destructive tusks numerous. Thy faces are death and time, oh so fierce and enormous. So he's seen in front of him. Kala is there. They say Kalaya Tasmai Namaha because time, and in front of time everybody has to bow. The strongest also become weak afterwards in time. And it is a cycle of time only. So time is everything, and in front of Arjuna, Kala is standing, time is standing. Probably Arjuna is seeing flashback of his own childhood and also what is going to come to him in the future also, or what is going on. All of it is moving in front of him. And then there is the death also is standing. Probably Yama is also present in front of him only. He is seeing Yama's form. Thy faces are death and time, oh so fierce, and they are enormous, they look huge, he says. O Lord of Lords, Supreme, a great despair overwhelms me. O shelter of the world, you are the shelter, you are the refuge. Please, I am taking your refuge, he begs him. He says, may thy merciful grace upon me be. He says, let your grace be upon me, because everything now seems insignificant in front of this brute force of the Ugra Rupa. This raw power, undiluted power is visible in front of him, and he is suddenly afraid now. The great hero is again afraid. This time he is actually in a really different state of panic. अमी च त्वां धृतराष्ट्रस्य पुत्राः सर्वे सहैवाव निपालसङ्घैः भीष्मो द्रोणः सूतपुत्रस्तथासौ सहास्म दीयैरपि योधमुख्यैः. So he's saying, I see all the heroes of this Mahabharat, all the great heroes who are going to play their role in the Mahabharat, who are shaping this war, who are in charge of the war which is going to take place. All of them are visible. What are they doing? Krishna is being told by Arjuna. He says, I see all of Dhritarashtra's children and the host of all the kings and the strongest of men. Because all of them, Bhishma, Drona, and Karna, I see them too. These are the juggernauts, unstoppable forces. They are divine themselves, all of them. And the prominence amongst warriors, and all the best, greatest, what we can say, Maharathis, all are visible. What are they doing? All of them proceeding in a queue. Where are they going? Where is this queue leading? That we'll have to see. Arjuna is just suddenly seeing all of them walking. Where are they walking towards? वक्त्राणि ते त्वरमाणा विशन्तीं दंष्ट्राकरालानि भयानकानि केचिद्विलग्ना दशान्तरे दशनान्तरेषु सन्दृश्यन्ते चूर्णितैरुत्तमङ्गैः. So what is happening? Churnitairuttamaangaihi. Their anga is becoming churna only. What is happening? Where is this going? He says, into thy dreaded mouth of fire. They are receding. So first they are walking in a queue, and then that queue they are only seeing it is leading into fire, and then they are trying to escape that fire. That into that dreaded mouth of fire they are receding. All of them overpowered and helplessly squirming. They are all trying to escape that force. Between thy teeth I see their bleeding heads protruding, crushed and ground by thy razor teeth and tusks horrifying. It suddenly become all gory. He sees the heads and protruding between this bhayanak this teeth which are horrible, and he says, I am seeing them getting ground. I am seeing the screams of my heroes, of the great heroes in this battle, all the strongest of men also. That is what I am seeing. Now my simple question is there any joy now in this Rupa, or it is only Ugra? Is there any, what we can say, even remnant of joy visible now when this kind of drishya is there in front? What do you think in Arjuna? Can there be a joy of the Vishwarupa right now? Yes, please.
No, I guess, because
it's only fear, no? It's
it's only fear.
it's
Yeah, he's seeing blood, he's seeing everything.
everything. This is the worst of
Fear.
Ji,
It's not a pleasant sight at all.
Ji. Yes. Vasudevan ji wants to add something.
Not only fear, it may be an awakening.
Okay, could be an awakening suddenly. Then that is also interesting. I think there is Shivaji Maharaj's guru Ramdas Swami. He has also said, "Chiranjeevate sarvehi budale." Means all the Chiranjeevs also who are supposed to be living long lives or eternal, they have also ultimately go and face death. This is the truth of life. And probably now he is seeing all these heroes. Even Bhishma is supposed to be not dying. And even Bhishma is now in front of this force. He is seeing all of it, and now it's becoming ugly and scary and frightening. Arjuna has suddenly become a small child in front of a big dark room, something like that. Arjuna is wanting to escape from this now. He does not want this Vishwarupa which he was asking. I think sometimes we should be very careful what we ask for or pray for. When that manifests, we don't know what it is. Arjuna never thought he knew a different Vishwarupa. Now look at this, it's become ugly. And he goes on, he is just afraid, and we see him shaking as he describes. He says, Yatha nadinam bhavombu vegaha samudrameva bhimukha dravanti tatha tavami naraloka vira vishanti vaktranya vivijvalanti. Just as the many rivers that turbulently gush and merge into the ocean vast and overwhelming, so too do the heroes of the mortal plane rush into thy mouth, the eternal, the ethereal inferno blazing. So he says, look at this, just like how rivers are. Rivers sometimes have a very nice streamlined flow, but when the time of merging into ocean comes, that even physicists say, no, the velocity has changed and now we will see turbulence only. Now it cannot be streamlined because that moment of joining, there is this fluttering and that feeling of turbulence. Just like rivers merging into the supreme ocean. Like that, he says, all the heroes are doing that way only and they're merging into you. But yours is not water, it is the fire in your mouth. They are coming into that fire, he says. But they are being lured inside of it. यथा प्रदीप्तं ज्वलनं पतंग विशन्ति नाशाय समृद्धवेगाः तथैव नाशाय विशन्ति लोकास् तवापि वक्त्राणि समृद्धवेगाः. Again he's saying the same thing, all are proceeding. Krishna means, it is like, if you see the emotional aspect, Arjuna is already an emotional person, which is why he got into this feeling in the start. Krishna is now just playing with his emotions, like probably he's chewing and crushing his emotions only, showing him that his emotions don't matter at all now, because these heroes, his gods are dying. According to him, he's seeing them, they are going like what, insignificant, like moths, patanga. Anybody knows about the reaction of patanga to fire or light? Yes? These insects, these moths, they have this a tendency to go after. Has anybody heard of these in nature? There are these moths. Yes,
They
please.
get attracted by light and fall into the fire.
Yes, because you see, they are. It's like a Prakriti has created a circuit inside of them. They are also not in control. The moment they see light, we do not know what they are feeling, but they get attracted towards the light and they all rush towards the light. Now, even if that light is a fire, they are not able to control that and they are just driven into that fire, even if that means that is their end. That is the state of the patanga. And now Krishna, Arjuna is saying, my heroes are also looking like these patangas. They are just entering into that fire. What is this? He's probably overwhelmed. He's also feeling afraid. He's also feeling sorrowful watching all of it. Even the children of Dhritarashtra he's seeing, and nobody wants this kind of sight to watch also. All of this is overwhelming. He says, all the men too are rapidly proceeding to destruction, allured by default into thy fiery mouth suction, as if some suction force is there. It's just pulling. Your fire is coming out, but it is pulling everything inside also. It is a crazy experience for Arjuna. He goes on, Lelihyase grasamanah samantalokan samagran vadanair jwaladbhihi तेजोभिरापूर्य जगत्समग्रं भासस्तवोग्राः भासस्तवोग्राः प्रतपन्ति विष्णु. Even his words, they are actually, his chanda also has changed now because of his emotion. These shlokas are also very much longer and Arjuna is just describing. He says, thy many tongues lick in all 10 directions, the dasha dishas, all the 10 directions. There are great, huge tongues which are licking those 10 directions, and thy flaming mouths devour all the world's nations, all the Rashtras of the world. What war two countries fight, or three countries fight, 10 countries fight, all these are getting devoured. The powerful, the weak, the most strong, and the what we can some people say insignificant. Well, all are insignificant in front of this supreme force. Thy terrible brilliance scorches thy infinite creations. O Vishnu, thy energies feed all manifestations. He goes on, Akhyahi me ko Bhavanugra Rupo, Namostute Devavara Prasida. Please be pleased, please be pleased, is what he is saying. Vijnatum ichhami bhavantamadhyam nahi prajanami Tava pravrittim. He says, I didn't know you are like this, Krishna. I made a mistake, he says, asking for a Vishwarupa. I did not know you were like this, he says. Oh, greatest God, show thy compassion. I salute, I appeal. Who art thou behind this terrible form? Please reveal. Before the beginning thou wait, I wish to know, to my ignorant mind, the will of thy workings, please show. So we'll just look at the three shlokas and then we'll stop. Now Krishna speaks. But it is not this dear friend Krishna, it is the Vishwarupa speaking. It is his Krishna, but in the Vishwarupa form he is speaking. I do not know how much it will can help Arjuna become calm, because right now Arjuna is only focusing on what he is seeing on the outside, and that is causing panic. Even if Vishwarupa now probably says don't be afraid, I don't know how it's going to reach Arjuna. Will it be amplified? It will be like from which mouth is being spoken, or is it echoing from everywhere? It's like, don't be afraid. I remember one teacher in school, he would say, don't be afraid. But his tone was so much that that tone only would make us afraid. That it was something like that. Let us see what Krishna is going to do. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, his words are, Kalosmi lokakshaya krut pravruddho lokan samah लोकान् समाहर्तुमिह प्रवृत्तः ऋतेऽपि त्वां न भविष्यन्ति सर्वे येव स्थिताः प्रत्यनीकेषु योधाः. Now this is a very special shloka. Kalosmi lokakshaya krut pravruddho. This was at a moment of lokakshaya only, one very powerful human moment. This shloka was uttered by somebody. Can anybody recollect? On the first day we had seen the reference to this shloka. The Manhattan Project I had talked about. Anybody can recollect? No. Alright, so I think when the first nuclear bomb test was being done in the Manhattan Project, Robert Oppenheimer, you won't believe, watching that mushroom cloud rise in the sky, not only is it interesting that he chose to have a thought which is connected to the Gita or quote a verse of the Gita, he actually connected it with the situation of this Gita, which is perfectly in context. It is like Arjuna is watching a nuclear explosion in front of him only. He is afraid, but there he had a different feeling. Instead, Kalosmi, I am time. That is what Krishna speaks. But Robert Oppenheimer interpreted it wrongly, saying, I am death, thinking now he is that. But now Krishna is different. But again, whatever may be the interpretation of the shloka by him, what we do see is that it is so special that human's most significant moment of in the most destructive moment, that time this Gita verse was uttered by that person. Let us go on. Krishna speaks. Lord Krishna spoke. I am time, harbinger of destruction of everything. I am the colossal destroyer of all that is living. Even without you, these warriors shall not live. To the ranks of the opposing forces, only death I shall give. He says, I am time, I am Kala, destroyer of everything. I am the destruction. I am going to bring destruction to everything. Krishna is just showing his Ugra Rupa, and he says, Arjuna, even without you, these warriors shall not live. To those who oppose the righteousness, to those who oppose the truth, only death I will bring, is what he is saying. So again, Arjuna is not so important to Krishna as much as Krishna is important to Arjuna, is very clearly visible. It is like when a surgeon is using an instrument. If the instrument is blunt, will the surgeon stop his practice? What do you think a surgeon will do in a surgery if an instrument is blunt? Anybody?
He will take another instrument.
And what will happen to the old instrument? He'll discard it, is it not?
Probably, or
Yes.
probably he'll said it for sharpening it.
Maybe if it is possible, he will try his best to sharpen it, otherwise, he will discard it. Is it not? And this is Krishna is telling for the first time, loving Pyare Krishna, Pyare Kana. So many bhajans are there for Krishna. But now he is not feeling Pyare at all. He is speaking the very strong, harsh truth. He says, Arjuna, if you run away from this battle, also don't think Dharma will not win. I will find another Arjuna and I will take this work ahead. Who are going against truth will experience that these karma bandhanas will trap everyone, but I will allow the highest truth to prevail ultimately. So this again, what we see, he is the Sanatan guardian, what Arjuna has recognized, it is visible, he is so powerful. We must never underestimate the divinity, the strength of the divinity. It is not divine who needs the human beings, it is human who need the divine, because the instrument can be discarded any time. And what about the human instrument of the divine? If he gets ahankar, if the surgeon's knife says no, don't move in right direction, move left, what will the surgeon do? He cannot do his surgery. He'll have to dump that instrument and take another one. That is why ahankar is the biggest problem even in sadhana. When ahankar comes in, sadhana becomes bhanga also. Then, as Milanji said, maybe the divine will try sincerely to sharpen the instrument again, make the instrument usable. But if still that ahankar prevails, the divine has no choice but to move on, because the time is always there for taking things ahead, not for regression. There is only evolution, is what Krishna has already told us. No yoga bhrashta. Movement is there, forward journey has to take place. It is not to go reverse. Krishna goes on. That is why now this Ugra Rupa tells him, Tasmad Tasmat Tvamuttishta Yasho Labhasva Jitva Shatrun Bhungshva Rajyam Samruddham Mayaivaite Nihitaha Purvameva Nimittamatram Bhavasavya Sachin. This is a beautiful, powerful shloka if we can recognize the value. Nimittamatram Bhavasavya Sachin. So become the Nimitta Matra is what Arjuna is saying. He says, arise. I mean, Krishna is telling Arjuna, he says, arise to the opulence of the conqueror that beckons. Garner the glory that a victor reckons. Know that by me all are already slain. So become my instrument. Let your arrows rain. Krishna is telling Arjuna, rise, Uttishta, he says. Uttishta Yasholabhasya. There's a victory waiting for you. Rise, he says. Rise. Perform your duty is what he is asking him. And get that glory that is waiting for you only. Understand, all these warriors, they have already been destroyed by me. I am killing them. Just as Arjuna's Gandiva is there, like that Krishna says, you are my weapon I am wielding. The Gandiva need not worry about anything, because when Arjuna is holding it, so something like that Krishna is saying, you become my instrument, become the Nimitta Matra. It is something which is very simple, and those who are in the Bhakti tradition, they really enjoy this aspect, where they feel they are not doing anything, they don't have to do anything. Ram hamara kaam kare, hum baithe aram is the word they say. Means God is doing the work, we have to, but it's a very nice aspect if you realize it, it becomes the instrument. The medium, the perfect instrument is the one who is receptive of the divine commands. It is not adding or removing to the divine command. That is the aspect of the instrument. The instrument's job is to just be the instrument, not more than the instrument, because now the danger has been shown. When the instrument tries to be more than what it is going to create disharmony in the divine plan. The divine is caring about the divine plan only. Let us go on. Dronam cha Bhishmam cha Jayadratham cha Karnam tathanyanapi yodhaviran maya hatanstvam jahima vyathishta yuddhasva jetva asi rane sapatnan. Defeat, he says, defeat all the warriors, Bhishma and Drona, and vanquish the heroes Jayadratha and Karna. Fight without being troubled or in pain. Know that by my hands alone they have been slain. Now, if you see, interestingly, when Arjuna referred to Karna, he called Sutaputra. But when Krishna referred to Karna, he referred to him as Karna only. This is an interesting thing. And second, he says defeat. He says defeat all these warriors. Defeat all these. Defeat Bhishma, defeat Drona, defeat Jayadratha, defeat Karna. Forget your trouble, forget your pain. Just do your duty as an instrument of mine, Krishna is saying. Because you will recognize then that it's my hand, so no sin is going to come. Naivam papam ahasyasi prahasyasi. No papa is going to touch you when you are in that. Like they say, Padma Patram Mevambhasa. Again, lotus leaf in water, which is not going to allow water to be stuck to it. It is like that. He says, when you are the Nimitta Matra, That time karma bandhanas are not going to trouble you, they are not going to touch you. But to become nimitta matra, probably we'll have to put our emotions aside. Only then we can be nimitta matra. Otherwise, we will become matra of ahankar only. We will be the nimitta matra for individual ahankar, not the divine will. But this is what Krishna has said. I'll conclude with the Shanti mantra, then we'll just have a small, probably a couple of minutes discussion, and then any questions are there, they are welcome. I'll just conclude with the Shanti mantra now. Hari Om. सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. हरि ओम तत्सत. कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं. हरि ओम. Yes, so my just question is, now Krishna has told him, he says, don't be worried, don't be troubled. He says, Nimitta matram bhava savya sachin, become the medium, don't have the worry, and they are going to be slain by my hands. Nothing is going to come to you. You don't have any liability, is what he's saying. Just hold on to your duty. Do you think Arjuna is going to accept it now? He said, whatever you say, Krishna, I will accept. Already he has gone to that state, but then he still went on asking, no, he wanted to, I say, I want to see, he asked for a Vishwaroop, and now he's saying that, he says, no, I don't want to see this, show me something else. But now Krishna tells him, he says, fight, he says, fight, uttishta, and go for the victory that you are, that is waiting for you, rise, he says. Do you think Arjuna is going to comply? His fear inside is so much now. Again there is fear. Just some time back he said, I have lost all my fear, and then again there is a full change, 360 degree, 180 degree change is there in his emotions. Back to fear again. This time it is overwhelming fear, more than what it was in the first one. Earlier at least he could fight with Krishna, he could say, Krishna, you are like this, you are greedy, and so many things he said. But now what is it? What is it? Is Arjuna going to listen? Because Krishna has told, now don't have fear. Yes, please. What do you think of Arjuna's case right now? Is there going to be fear, or is it going to just evaporate? Yes, please, Srinivasji.
I think Arjuna should comply.
You think Arjuna should comply, but what do you
Because
think?
Krishna
Okay.
already explained that,
Huh.
be my instrument.
Acha. So
Just,
the okay.
become my nimitta.
Yes.
The thing is going to progress the way I want. I have decided. Now
Yes.
just become my nimitta.
Is it not?
Follow
So
the,
okay. So yes,
yeah.
yes. He's actually giving. He's saying there. But if you see, he has indirectly hinted that he doesn't have a choice because truth will go ahead. But again, he is giving the choice in Arjuna's hand to be the instrument or not to be the instrument. He's saying, and he's advising him to be the instrument. And what is the perfect instrument? It is the imperfect instrument. Who is the instrument? Is that which is able to keep the emotions aside and allow the, in sadhana also they say, keep our emotions aside, because when emotions come in the play, they spoil everything. Now Arjuna has to do that, and practical lesson has started right now for Arjuna only. Krishna has given such great theory, but now is the time to practice. Because if there is fear, what will he listen? His fear, his emotions will speak, not the satya which Krishna is wanting from him, or what Krishna is offering him. That will not go. It's like these emotions sometimes act like a barrier. It is said emotions are but a face's mask that aid in every task. Sometimes they have to be shown, sometimes they have to be thrown. That is the nature of emotions. Probably Arjuna's wisest thing would be, as Srinivas ji said, Arjuna will have to keep his emotions aside. But do you think it's going to work for him? Yes, please. After what he has seen. Yes, this is my last question, after which I will take any questions which are there. But do you think Arjuna is going to comply immediately after Krishna has said this?
But how long can he hold this vision in his mind? I mean,
How long can he hold this vision?
in his mind.
I-
As soon as Krishna,
Huh.
now we see, I can, if we see a movie like 2012, it's horrifying. The world is
Okay.
going to come to an end.
Huh.
So we make a decision. We should do everything to save the environment.
Okay.
When the movie is over, we are relieved. The movie is over. Now we go back to life where we are worried about environment,
Okay.
economy, etc. We've forgotten about environment stuff.
Yeah, but
So it looks like we cannot hold anything for a very long.
we cannot hold for a very long time, Vasudevanji is saying.
Reality of life.
But while it is going on, while you are experiencing it, that time you will not be able to, like, is it not? Vasudevan.
Explicitly, we are in.
Okay.
We are.
So this will be the second aspect. The second aspect we will see at the end of this adhyay, because what the Vasudevanji is saying that yes, darshana also, people get divine moments. What happens after the divine moments? That is an important aspect. How many of them retain those moments? How many scatter? Not everybody hold on. But there are some who hold on also. They hold on for life. But now we are not looking at that, because right now it is like it is going on. The movie is taking place. Arjuna is watching it, and in that moment, in the heat of that moment, he is being told to be peaceful. So yes, again, same question is Arjuna going to be capable of following what Krishna is saying? What Arjuna must do, we have identified, yes. But like I remember my experience also, I did not know I had a inside of me there was this devotion for Sri Rama. I did not know in my life only. Only when I climbed up the ladder to go and see, my father asked me to go and check if there is water in the tank. I was, I think, in class 8. So I went quickly, running. I climbed quickly on top and I shouted, yes, water is there, so the motor is working, all is fine. Then the time came for coming down. That was when I looked down, and the ladder was a very thin one and it was going 2 stories. I had to walk down and I was now afraid. And suddenly each step started with Ram 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 Ram. Sudden fear started inside of my hand, inside of my heart. This was something only at that moment I realized, till then I did not. Arjuna right now is in a complete panic because his world also has come crashing. His fear, everything is now suddenly looking insignificant, what was there before. Now that fear has been replaced by a greater fear. This fear is the fear of the Ugra Rupa. And now this Ugra Rupa is asking him to be peaceful. Arjuna is not able to see Krishna in this Ugra Rupa. Arjuna will listen to Krishna. Whether he will listen to the Ugra Rupa, that's what we have to see. We will see tomorrow. We will continue with the shloka number 35, because Arjuna is going to speak. He is going to share what he feels. At least he is talking, he is not fainted. That's the best part. Otherwise, we would not have this adhyay only. So yes, please, anybody wishes to share something, you are welcome. That way our session is complete now. Hari Om ji. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om,
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om ji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om ji. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Shashwatji,
Ji. Ji.
I was wondering,
Ji.
Sanjay could see what was happening on the battlefield, and now that Krishna is going to show him the
Yes.
Vishwaroopam. So was Sanjay also able
Yes.
to
Yes.
see that?
Yes. Yes, Srinivas ji. Next shloka is by Sanjay only. Vyasa Prasadena. By Vyasa Prasadena. We are hearing a narration by Sanjay. Sanjay is narrating Arjuna's words for us.
So, yeah, so he could also see the
Yes.
Vishwaroopam.
Yes. 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 Sanjay was also blessed one.
Was
Huh?
that the time when Dhritarashtra could have stalled the Mahabharata? Because Sanjay was narrating to him.
Yes. 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 But this
So
is the
was that
nature. This because this no Dhritarashtra could have stalled it at so many moments in his life. He kept yes. This is said to be like after the fall of Bhishma also he could have even then. But that is the human nature, Srinivas ji. We can see still holding on till last minute, holding on, hope against hope, hope against hope, even if it is leading to complete destruction of that person's family also. Strong rigidity, no? It's like agam nijaha paroveti. This person is mine, that person is not mine. And look at it, how much he is holding on to Dhritarashtra. Means he is not caring about his own children's death, their destruction, their happiness, everything. But he feels he is doing it for their happiness only. What a that is a human, what we can say, a nature, no? Prakriti.
nature?
Prakriti
Yeah.
is putting it. It's not we can say human fault. We can say Prakriti's fault that this system is there. But sadhana will help us. It is a change. They say Prabhu ko niyam badalte dekha. Changes can happen anybody anytime. If Dhritarashtra could do that, if there are so many ifs, if Duryodhana could understand, if Drona could understand, if Bhishma could just say, all right, it's okay, I will suffer in Naraka Lok. I will go to Naraka, but I will slay all of you because you are daring to attack the righteous Pandavas. Or Draupadi's Vastraharan is taking place. This is against all my principles. It is okay if I die, my head explodes after doing it, but I will stop you. I'll cut the head of the person who is daring to hurt her. She is my daughter. She is my child. But no, everywhere, everybody was. This is the nature. We see things and we allow it to go on. Means, and with the sad aspect is, if you see in Dhritarashtra's case, he had attachment for his children. He felt he is doing a right thing, but it actually led to the entire destruction of his entire family. He didn't realize that Ahankar, they say, that is why Nimitta Matra is easily can get hints from any direction, and divine will whisper quietly, doesn't have to shout or bring a situation where it is untenable. But this is the case, ji. Yes, yes, rightly identified, Srinivas ji. Ji, ji, Hari Om,
Hariom.
Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om,
Hari Om.
Hari Om, Arvind ji,
Hari Om.
Hari Om, Hari Om ji.